Stanford professor Dr. Garry Nolan dropped an absolute bombshell in his most recent interview on the Ironclad podcast. Let's take a listen. If you're new to the channel, y'all, and you like content like this, please hit that subscribe button. I put out a new video every day, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. I do not miss a day, y'all. And please hit that like button, vetters. That really helps out the videos. So thank y'all so much for the support there. And, of course, comment down below. What do you think of Dr. Garry Nolan's bombshell news here, right? Let's go. All right, you're probably like, Patrick, what is it? Well, you saw the thumbnail. Let's go. Let's get some more details. There's actually a few different things in here I'd like to discuss. There's a good 5, 6, 7 minute chunk here that's phenomenal.
I mentioned the whistleblowers that have come forward. I think the one linchpin for a lot of people is they can discuss the programs that they have either been directly involved with or peripheral. But the one thing missing, as you mentioned, to use your example, is the steering wheel. Even though I feel like advanced societies would probably have moved on beyond a steering wheel, I like that analogy because people get it. That is the one thing that none of the whistleblowers have. And I think that is the one bridge that is keeping that hasn't been crossed by people because they don't have that visceral evidence to actually look at. It's the leap of faith.
Yeah, I agree. And so that's what's currently being worked on, is how do we get this done in a legitimate manner so that it's not just an anecdote and a story. And so there's, a few ways to move that conversation forward legally. I'm not advocating that anybody basically sneak anything out the back door. There's one legal way to do it is to go out and look for the evidence ourselves. Right. The stuff that is obtained or claimed to be obtained is in the possession of the government because they got there first.
How do they always seem to get there first, though? Is it detection before it impacts?
We have an amazing detection system.
Okay.
Satellites that you've spent billions and billions of dollars on putting up. When stuff goes awry, they get there first. They really do. And so one of the first problems many in the public make, or one of the mistakes they make, is alerting the government first.
Ballsy call.
It's a ball, yeah. So you do that. You think you're doing the right thing, but there are operations being set up to make parallel retrieval teams that have nothing to do with the government, to get there first. Okay. And hope to not engage yourself in a firefight. But, they have the means to.
I'm sorry, what? Did you hear that? Did you hear that? Let's back that up again. Let's hear him say that again.
It's a ball, yeah. So, you do that. You think you're doing the right thing. But, there are operations being set up to make parallel retrieval teams that have nothing to do with the government, to get there first. Okay. And hope to not engage yourself in a firefight. But, they have the means to get there first.
So I'm going to continue the clip. There's definitely more, but that's it, right? That's bombshell news, y'all. That's beyond bombshell news, if you ask me. That's huge news. Now, what comes of it is different, right? That's like Tampa Bay signing Tom Brady. You don't know if you're going to get that Super Bowl win, but it's big news. It's huge, and coincidentally, they did. But do you see what I'm saying? Like, the idea that that's going to happen, right? That we are going to have these ragtag group of dudes or women, people going out to retrieve these craft before the government, like trying to compete with them, I guess, which is interesting. Like, who's going to be on these teams? Are they taking auditions? Like, can you apply for these positions, right? Must be able to lift 50 pounds and work weekends, right? What is on your resume that would make you right for that job? I mean, I'm just joking around here, of course, but right, like what is on your resume? All right, what skills do you need to recover crashed UFOs? So this is interesting. This is huge. How many groups? Is it an American group? How are they going to have global access? right? Is this only for American crashes on American soil, or what are we talking about here? Because that's interesting, right? And how are they going to know where to go, right? How are they going to know where they are, where the crashes are? Well, let's find out. Maybe Garry will mention a little bit of that. But to me, this is huge news, y'all.
Let's just put it that way. Now, the second point is observational work that's being done by the likes of Avi Loeb and the Galileo project, right? Where, right, I might not have a piece of hardware that I can show you, but I have.
Hang on. So he did, at the end of that, he did say that they have a means, right? Let's listen to that again. I think I skipped over it.
Let's just put it that way. To do with the government, to get there first. Okay. And hopefully not engage yourself in a firefight. But, they have the means to get there first. Let's just put it that way.
They have the means to get there first. Right. Interesting. That like reversed alien technology, reversed UFO to get there, to get the other UFO. That's interesting.
Now, the second point is observational work that's being done by the likes of Avi Loeb and the Galileo project, right? Where, right, I might not have a piece of hardware that I can show you, but I have legitimate measurements on objects collected by multiple simultaneous sensors that I can write a science paper on, and is as irrefutable as anything done in any other arena of science. Right. So that I think is the second part. And then the third part is the UAP board that will be hopefully set up with the new legislation, again, being put forward by Senator Schumer again, and Rounds. It's a bipartisan. It's not the Democrats or the Republicans. It's bipartisan because they have seen enough behind the scenes to say that, look, we need to get this out.
That's also some pretty big news, if you ask me. Right? Dr. Garry Nolan is admitting that Chuck Schumer and Mike Rounds have both seen enough behind the scenes, right? Not public, to know we need this, right? And it sounds like Chuck Schumer and Mike Rounds are back at it again this year, right? In the Senate, because the House just got denied the UAP amendments by Robert Garcia that got put forth. The House declined to hear those. And the next sort of hearing where you hear all these amendments for the NDAA, right? People submit a bunch and you can only dwindle it down to a few and listen to those and then vote on the few, even less than that, make it through, right? So it just dwindles down to the ones that actually go through. Now, that's just in the House. But it sounds like Garry Nolan is saying in the Senate, Chuck Schumer is coming back, right? With another round, that he's seen enough behind the scenes. What has he seen to put his name behind this? Right? That's interesting.
And so if we can legitimize bringing that out, then that would be a good thing. That would answer the question.
I agree. What's your best guess hypothesis of what the government or the Pentagon is currently in possession of?
Well, it's anecdote again, but if you believe the people like David Grush and Carl Nell, Eric Davis, and some other people that I know personally, they're in possession of a craft, multiple craft, and we're not the only ones. I mean, I think we're actually. I think this is what should scare people. What happens if China gets to it first? It's pretty clear it's not a U.S. thing. They don't show up in the United States only. So if China and Russia have them, or God help us, Iran, and they get access and understanding to what the technology means first, we might be in a little bit of trouble.
What, based off your experience with some of the people that have come forward, there's a couple things. I've heard about crash sites and materials potentially being found at those crash sites. and also unexplainable or strange abilities of these crafts. Can you kind of unpack from what you have heard? And again, I understand it's anecdotal through other people, but what you've heard, the capabilities or the things that have been found that again lead us down this path towards this obviously didn't originate on Earth.
Great question.
Metals with extraordinarily hard and heat transmissive capabilities, right? That are near superconductors of heat, if not electricity. That's probably the ones that I know the most of. Engineered materials that seem to be engineered at the atomic level, that are people have called them metamaterials. I mean, there's one of them that's very public that I'm not sure about the provenance of or the capability of, but there's others that I'm aware of that people just don't understand. First, how is it that they could make something like that? How would it be made? Because it was found at a time when we couldn't make something like that. And it is structured in a way that, I mean, it's even today difficult to understand how some of these things are structured and made. And so, I mean, that's what I know about. The other things I just should be careful what I say, because they're given to me the information has been given to me under confidence, not under any secrecy agreement per se, but just under confidence. And I just don't want to have them call me up and say, why did you talk about my stuff publicly? Because now people are going to know what it is and who I talk to.
So that's interesting, right? He doesn't talk about the pieces he got from New Mexico with Tim Taylor and Diana Pasulka, right? The sort of frog-like skin material, other materials that they got, that Diana Pasulka said that Garry took them all from the site, went through airport security with them, everything. And he's in possession. Now, he has denied being in possession of them, but I understand why. But that's interesting, right? So I don't know. What do y'all think? Y'all let me know in the comments. Pretty interesting. Again, link in the description to the full interview. It's great. Great interview from this guy at Ironclad. Really good questions. Some of them may seem obvious, but those sometimes bring out the best answers, because you're asking someone that has been asked that question a lot. And if you ask it in just a little bit different way, right, sometimes you get an answer you're not expecting. So there we go. When do these crash retrieval operations take place, right? Who's going to be on them? How big are the teams? How do they operate? Where do they get their funding? This is private funding, right? Apart from the government. So very interesting. Very interesting. All right, y'all. See you guys on tomorrow's video. Remember, every day's a gift, y'all.